first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fox 12 Now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. If you hear that behind me, that is the sound of a newsroom as people are actively researching stories and bringing you information as soon as possible. Right now, we're going to talk about something that, well, could apply to quite a few people that are watching. That's if you have any amount of trees on your property. If you own any property or are even adjacent to property with trees, which could include quite a bit of us, this could be of interest to you. Washington State University, Vancouver, has some classes that you can take that will help you understand how to properly manage that forest or stand of trees that you might have. You may think, you know, it's nature, let it do its own thing, but there actually is a lot of outside factors that can come into play that can affect the health of both the forest, the trees, the wildlife that are part of it, and also increase fire potential should we enter into a big fire season, which is a possibility. So we're going to talk about all of those things and some good key things to know if you do have a forest or things that you should be thinking about, but also we'll talk about these classes that Washington State University is offering. We had Professor Kevin Zobrist who joined us to talk about that. I will just let you know there was a bit of a Zoom connection thing, so if you see some of what he's saying not quite match up with his mouth while he's talking, that's not on your end. That actually was part of that recording. So just wanted to make sure that you knew about that. But the audio comes through just fine. So the information is all great. So here we go.
Well, my name is Kevin Zobrist. I'm a professor with the Extension Forestry program for Washington State University. So I coordinate education and assistance programs for small forest landowners throughout Western Washington. And I'm part of a team that serves various parts of the state, putting on programs for property owners.
When you talk about a small forest owners, what would constitute a small forest?
That's always a great question. We have a very broad definition of small forest landowner. Based on our clientele, we get people with a quarter of an acre all the way up to more than 1,000 acres. I would say probably most of our clientele are in the 5 to 100 acre crowd, but we certainly get folks that have smaller properties than that and larger properties than that. In especially the urbanized counties, we see a lot of fragmentation such that the same small forest ownership base is divided up into smaller pieces among more people. So even though the parcel sizes are smaller, collectively they make up a huge chunk of forest that's important to society and community, all of those ecosystem services and benefits. So we don't want to ignore those people.
And the forest does not know where the property line is. So
exactly. And diseases don't respect property lines, neither do fires or wildlife and so forth. So it's all connected.
So for these, can you tell us, about these classes that have been created to help people understand that and how to manage those forests?
We have 3 major programs that we offer in partnership with the Washington State Department of Natural Resources. Our flagship course is an in-depth 9-week stewardship course for property owners. It's a forestry course for property owners that's comprehensive. And then we have a Forest Owners Field Day. We have those in the summer, and those are out in the woods events where we have different stations set up, and every hour people can choose what station they want to go to see whatever workshop is offered, whether it be something on forest health or wildlife or thinning or all sorts of other topics. And then the ones that we have coming up right now is our Forest Owners Winter School. And that's like the indoor classroom counterpart to our summer field days. So we do it inside during the off season, and we'll have different workshops set up in a series of classrooms wherever we're hosting the event. And every hour people can choose what room they want to go to and what workshop they would like to attend.
And so in these classes, what are some of the big things that people can learn about when it comes to managing these wooded areas?
Oh, we cover a wide range of topics. Usually we have about 20 different classes that we offer at these winter schools. So wildlife habitat enhancement, we have mushroom growing, forest roads, forest diseases, forest insects. We have classes on thinning, on tree measurements, a whole host of topics.
And which is great because a lot of those things, as I mentioned, people may not even think about, some of those different ways that they could be managing it or things to watch out for. You mentioned diseases. Is that a huge or big concern for people in Western Washington?
It certainly can be. And I think the biggest disease problem that we have is root disease. And it doesn't get a lot of attention, and yet it is quite widespread and can cause a lot of headaches for landowners. So bark beetles, they get all the press. Everybody gets in an uproar about those dang beetles. But bark beetles actually do little damage on the west side of the Cascades. It's a different story on the east side of the Cascades. But on the west side, they're a secondary agent, not a primary driver of mortality usually. But then you have root disease. That is the big player. And so that's something that a lot of property owners want to know about because it can spread and be widespread. So people want to know, how do I manage this? What do I do with this? The other big thing, other big tree killer we have in Western Washington is, of course, drought. And so that's something that landowners are also very interested in learning about is how do I protect my trees from climate change, increased heat, increased drought? Should I be planting different species, having wider spacing? What do I do? So we cover those types of topics as well. Those are big hot button topics right now.
Yeah, I mean, and drought, of course, wildfires being part of that as well. So
yes,
for Western Washington, somebody who does have trees, I mean, wildfire can certainly be a concern. So in these classes, do you help them learn how to manage that a little bit better, or maybe, mitigate some of the risks that could come with some of the drier temperatures?
Yes, absolutely. Fire is always another really popular topic at all of our events. We covered a little bit differently west side of the Cascades versus east side of the Cascades. On the east side of the Cascades, we have a natural ecological system where fire was historically frequent and very low severity because those forests were naturally open, almost savanna-like. And fuels never built up because there were such common low-intensity fires. Because of a century of fire exclusion, a whole bunch of fuel has built up and choked out our east of the Cascades forest. So now we have these huge and completely unnatural fuel loads over there, so that when the fire gets started, that's why we're in the era of what we're calling the mega fires and why those are so catastrophic and not what would have naturally occurred historically. So that's really a restoration issue of thinning out those forests and returning them to a more natural state so that we have low intensity fires. On the west side, the mega fires are the ecological norm because our natural ecology of our forest here west of the Cascades is to be fuel laden. I mean, all of that biomass that makes up our rainforest and so forth, that's all fuel ultimately. So fires occur much more rarely on the west side and historically have been driven by really strong wind events. But when they do burn, when conditions are just right, it will be more along the lines of the mega fire. So that's the ecological norm on the west side. So on the west side, we really focus on protecting structures. It may not be realistic to say we're going to fireproof the forest, at least not without doing a really intensive modification that creates unnatural type of conditions that provides poor aesthetics, poor wildlife habitat, and impacts our other ecosystem functions. So my mantra has always been, the forest is going to burn, but your house doesn't have to. So we do a really close focus on how to manage right around your home so that the fire goes around your home and not through your home. And we cover that also extensively on the east side as well, but I think there's more of a forest component to that as well on the east side because of the need for thinning out those forests into really wide spacing that wouldn't necessarily be a natural condition on the west side.
Would you recommend that anybody who's, whether they own a forested area or are next to a forested area, to take a class like that to help protect those structures in the event of a wildfire?
Oh, absolutely. And the stuff that you can learn is really practical stuff. And a lot of it is not hard to do. Some very simple steps can make a huge difference in whether or not your house catches fire in a wildfire event.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's so much valuable information just from all these, just a couple of things that we talked about here when it comes to these classes of what people can learn. How important do you think it is just for the community as a whole, for people who live in Western Washington, the Pacific Northwest, to be cognizant, whether you're next to a forest or not, of some of these concerns and issues that you can learn about in these classes?
I think it's very important. It is just part of our surrounding, part of the quality of life that we experience here in the Northwest are the forests that are around us, whether we own a piece of that forest or are right next to it. It provides a lot of those ecosystem services, wildlife, aesthetics, recreation opportunities, clean water, clean air, all of those things that all of us appreciate and benefit from, whether we actually own a piece of forest or not. What I hear from people who go through our programs is, first, I didn't know what I didn't know. And we'll have people who've owned their property for 20, 30 years say, I really wish I attended this program 20 to 30 years ago. I thought I knew all there was to know, but it turned out I actually had a lot to learn. So we get that a lot. We also see that coming out of these programs, whether it's our 9-week stewardship course or these winter schools or a summer field day, we track the impacts of that over time. We follow up with participants. And I've been doing that for almost 20 years, and we consistently see about 90% of participants implement new or different practices on their property within a year of attending the program. So people are coming away with practical ideas that they are anxious to implement on the ground. And then that impacts thousands of acres across the state. And it's just through education.
I mean, I think what you said there, I didn't know what I didn't know. That's one of those big things where I feel like a lot of people just may not even understand that. I mean, if you were to quantify some of the top things that people learn, just as like a list, what are some of the biggest things that people next to forests or forest owners should be concerned with or should want to educate themselves about?
Yeah, okay. So another thing I hear really often is that I see the forest with different eyes now. And I think there's a fundamental kind of attitude change that comes out of education. People are conditioned with this idea of don't touch it, you'll break it, and may not understand that their forest is extremely stressed. It's choked out with invasive species. It's in a very unnatural state that's not providing good wildlife habitat, that's not meeting the property owner's objectives. And people learn that with some careful stewardship and some active management, that they can improve the health and resilience, the aesthetics, and the wildlife habitat all at the same time without breaking the forest, that they can actually help their forest, and that the forest needs a little help in most of these cases. These are, in many cases, really degraded ecosystems just from human activity, and sometimes nature just needs a little bit of a boost from us. And that's what people come away with is, hey, I can actually help my forest and turn it to a more naturally functioning system. That's going to better meet my objectives as a property owner.
Wow, so a lot to learn. And for these classes, to let everybody know again, how can they go about taking these?
So our website, forestry.wsu.edu, has all of our upcoming classes on that website that you can find. We have winter schools coming up. We have 3 of them. We have one coming up in Eastern Washington, I believe in Colville, that's going to be on February 7th. And then we have one in Auburn for the Central Puget Sound area coming up on February 21st. And then down in your neck of the woods, we're doing it in Vancouver on March 21st. So all of those, registration for all of those is open. Anyone is welcome to sign up. Even if you don't have forested property, but you're just interested in this sort of stuff, you're most welcome. We get folks who just want to learn about forests and are curious about it come to our events. And people don't have to be limited to these classes and events to get assistance and education. People can contact the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, for instance, to actually have a forester walk their property with them and give them on-the-ground advice and assistance. So people can search for Washington DNR, find your forester, and they'll get to a website where they can get links to the right person to contact for their region. So anybody who has forested property can get a free site visit from DNR at any time. People can contact their local extension forester, whether it's me or one of my counterparts in other parts of the state, to get advice or assistance. And we've really been able to ramp up our programs over the past few years. So the number of programs that we're offering and the number of foresters that we have out there on the ground assisting people has greatly increased. And this came out of the Washington State Legislature's funding of House Bill 1168, which provided a lot of funding for education, technical assistance, cost share assistance for maybe conservation or fuels reduction projects that are, financially beyond the reach of a lot of landowners. And those 3 things together, education, technical assistance on the ground, and cost share, have been a really winning combination that landowners are benefiting from, their neighbors are benefiting from, and citizens of the state as a whole. As we improve the health of our forests, we reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfire and so forth. We took a big hit in the funding of these programs in this last round, so we've had to scale back what we've been able to do in terms of programs and assistance, and especially cost share. So our hope is that the legislature will be able to restore some of that funding going forward, so that we can just get more people served. There's so much demand. Our programs consistently sell out. There are waiting lists and so forth. There's just a ton of demand for these services out there.
I can understand why. I mean, as you mentioned, we all live in this area, whether you own forest or next to forest, we're all within the forest, as it were. Here in the Northwest and in Western Washington. Well, Kevin, I want to say thank you very much, for joining me to talk about this. Really appreciate all the knowledge that you just had and just getting this information out there for everybody to know these resources and these classes are available for them. So thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
All right. So once again, thank you to Kevin there from Washington State University for joining us for that segment and just for talking about how these different classes and different ways that you can learn about how to manage your forest. So a lot of interesting information there, and big thank you again for him joining us. Again, we are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon Newsroom. Thanks for being here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here shortly to talk about the Oregon legislature. Their session is now beginning, which means there's a lot of different bills that are going through. One of those has to do with K-trucks, KEI trucks. We're going to talk about those, what they are, why there's a push for those to become legalized on roads in Oregon. That's coming up next. Depending on what platform you're watching, you will see this programming switch here for just a few. We're live streaming on our website and, of course, on our apps, which I highly recommend downloading the Fox 12 Oregon apps. Great ways to stay on top of everything that's going on here. But we'll take a break for right now. We'll be back soon with more. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.